love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy.
Yes, people, Ricky here from Behind the Bars TV. Hope everybody is fit and well. In this video, I'm going to be talking about serving an IPP sentence. So as most of my viewers will already know, and my subscribers, I'm currently still serving an IPP sentence, which is the same as a life sentence. It's an indeterminate sentence. I got this sentence when I was 21 years old for a violent offence that I committed. I'm now 37-year-old, some 17 years later. I was 20-year-old when I committed the offence. I'm coming up 38 in a couple of months. So 18 years I've been serving this sentence. And I got released in 2010 when I was 25-year-old. I went in when I was 20, came out 25. I was out for nearly 10 years before getting recalled back to prison for a car-related offence. I went on to serve another 14 months on recall and been back out 2 years now. On this sentence, I'm still serving, and I'm serving it for the rest of my life or until it gets terminated. And I do know lads that have been out that have actually had the licence terminated. They're no longer serving the sentence because they brought out a ruling where if you've been out 10 years since your first release and you've been out of trouble for them 10 years, you can apply to the parole board to have the licence removed completely. And I do know of 3 people up till now, because I've just seen another one on the IPP pages on Facebook. He's been out 11 and a half years and he's actually now had his licence terminated. But getting back to what the video is about, serving an IPP sentence and what's it like. It's an absolute nightmare. You can't move on with your life. You can't do, even though I'm going about my life and I'm creating a better life for me and my family, I'm still got this. The only way I can describe it is like having a sack on your back with a big massive weight in it just holding you back. Even though people say like probation, for instance, they think like, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is having this hanging over you constantly. It's a constant worry. I actually have nightmares sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I still have dreams where I'm in prison or some things went wrong and I'm wanted for recall back to prison, even though I'm leading a crime-free life. I'm not doing anything criminality. I'm leading a pro-social, a good lifestyle. Everything I do, I'm a hard-working man. I've got my wife, I've got my kids, but I've still got this hanging over us. And some people might say, well, you deserve it for what you've done. But a lot of us that got these IPPs, people don't know the backstory, like the environment that we grew up in, the neighbourhoods, the estates that we grew up in, the people that we're surrounded by, and we had no ambitions, no focus in life. We're surrounded by alcohol and drugs growing up. And I don't mean in the house, but I mean like outside when you're knocking around in groups. It was the norm, which a lot of people, it's like still the norm now. A lot of people like taking drugs and drinking and all that, but obviously I'm out of all that lifestyle now. I did once when I went to prison, because prison for me was the best thing. It actually sorted me out. So I don't regret doing my prison sentences, even both of them, even the recall, because the recall brought us back to life because I was in a bad state of mind. And so I don't regret the sentences that I've done because they did sort us out. But I just don't agree with the IPPs and that it has to define you for the rest of your life. Like you're stuck on this horrendous sentence for the rest of your life. You shouldn't have to live your life like this. Even if you're, like I say, you're out in the public, you're finally being released and you're living a pro-social lifestyle, you're living a crime-free life, but you've still got this hanging over you, and you don't even have to commit an offence. You don't have to break the law to go back to prison and be recalled. You might have an argument with your probation might not like you. It could just be something as simple as that, as having an argument with probation, or I know lads that have been out and they've just say they're in hostels, for instance, and they haven't made it back to the hostel on time. They've been recalled. They haven't committed any offences. People don't go to prison for these. The normal general Joe public don't go to prison for these type of things that the lads are being recalled back to prison for. And this is the things that you've got to live by when you're out here, when you're on life licence, on IPP. But just getting back to the IPP and telling the public and telling you lots of subscribers all about the IPP, because a lot of you don't understand what it is, or none of you have even heard of it. It's indeterminate sentence for public protection. The sentence was brought out for around about 1,000 people that was going to be given out to the most severe of criminals, the ones that have committed the worst and the heinous offences, the ones that not deserve a life sentence, but deserve this sort of sentence. It was brought out for paedophiles and rapists, and they give it to over 8,000 people, and the majority of them were young lads, 19, some of them were 17, 18-year-old, just young lads, like they've had no good role models in life, no ambitions, and they've been led down the wrong path sometimes off people older than them, and they've just made the bad decisions in life. They've never committed murders. Some of them have never even stabbed people. They've never inflicted like pain on people, as in like wounding and stabbings and stuff like that. Some of the lads they've threatened people with knives, and that was enough to give them an IPP. And some lads, 17, 18-year-old, 17 years later, these lads are still in prison because when they're that age, their brains haven't matured and they're still in that young mindset. But in prison, your mind you don't get older. If you're in prison from the age of 17, 18, your mind sometimes just stays that age, or you mature a bit. But if you're trying to get what I say, a lot of the lads, they still go on daft and they haven't grown up properly because they haven't had a chance to live in the real world. They're still surrounded by idiots in prison, really. And now there's decent lads in prison, but a lot of them are just idiots. And some of them are coming in off the streets with short sentences, 8 months, 10 months. And you've got to live with these type of people, but these type of people could be causing you problems. And if you get into an altercation with one of them and have a fight, or tell them to fuck off and you have an argument on the landing, the screws witness it, write it down. This lad gets out on his, the one that's doing an 8-month sentence, he just goes home as normal within a few months. But then when you come up for your parole, you've had an argument with this lad that's been released, but because you've had an argument with him, you've shown aggressive tendencies, so you're not getting released. You get another 2-year knockback. So you've got to endure another 2 years of living with people like this to get through your sentence, to come up for another parole hearing, and then see what goes from there. But if you haven't behaved in that other 2 years, or you haven't done more courses because you've showed aggressive tendencies, because you've had arguments, and if you haven't done another course in the meantime, then you're not getting released, you're getting knocked back again. And this is the type of thing the fuckers have got to put up with in prison. People haven't got a clue when they think, oh, he's serving IPP, he's not getting out because it's his own fault. I mean, some people can't actually behave or control it because they've got mental illnesses. Some of them have got ADHD. They've got all types of problems going on with them. They've got bipolar. And if someone gets in the face, they can't help themselves by arguing back. And it's just things that happen in everyday normal life out here, where you have to get into an argument. People do it in shopping centres. People do it in road rage incidents where they're shouting on and all that. If you do it in prison, you're still a risk to the public, so they don't let you out. Obviously, I knew how to control my temper, and I knew how to deal with situations like that. Obviously, I've done courses in that as well, but I know how to deal with people that come onto us, or if you're in situations like that. But because I'm a big lad as well, I didn't really get much trouble in prison. People didn't really mess with you because obviously you're a big lump and they didn't want to get a hiding off you. But getting back to it, like all these lads served all this time, 17 years, and the thing that hurts the most is knowing that this sentence was abolished 10 years ago. 10 years ago, well, it was 11 years ago now, this sentence was deemed inhumane, and they no longer give it to offenders coming into prison. So the courts no longer had the power to give out this sentence. The sentence was abolished. But everyone that is serving the sentence is kept on this sentence. But I've talked a bit more about this on a podcast that I've done yesterday. I've done a podcast with a lad from over in Ireland. He's a well-known Irish rapper. He's called Dub Zeno. If you want to check him out, have a look. He's on YouTube. He's got a few music videos out. He's doing well for himself. He's just done not so long back. He done an opening gig for Jordan McCann. He came over here. He was on the run from Ireland, and whilst he was over here, he's got into a bit of trouble when he was 18-year-old, and he ended up getting an IPP. But luckily for him, when he got out, he got deported back to Ireland. And since he's living in Ireland, there's no IPP in Ireland, so he's no longer on license. He's no longer on IPP. But if he steps foot back into England, then the IPP is still ongoing. And if he gets into trouble whilst he's here, he can get recalled to prison on this IPP. But now that he's currently back in Ireland, there's no IPP. He's not on probation. He's not on anything. It's a very interesting watch. I'm going to be dropping that Sunday morning, 9 o'clock. So keep a watch out for that, people. Because me and him are talking about the IPPs and the effect that it's had on people, the experiences that he's had in prison. He got a 3.5-year tariff, and he ended up serving 7 years. But surviving IPP and surviving the life sentence, for me, obviously changing my mindset whilst I was in prison and wanting a better future for myself and having a stable family on the outside, people to, how can I put it, people that were there to support us, that could see that I went down the wrong path, but they seen that I was a good person and I had good support there. So when I got out, I had support. When I got back out on my recall, I still had my wife, my 4 kids, and I've come back into a stable family relationship, and I've sorted myself out. I've now got a gym. I'm now helping other people. I've got a mental health group. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going into a school, and I'm talking to young kids, giving them life skills, talking about prison. But the kids that I'm going to be talking in front of are the ones that are in trouble with the police now and they're going down the wrong path. So I'm going into them school, and I'm going to be talking to the kids, giving them some knowledge, passing on a bit of education, and hopefully deterring them from going down the path that I went down. But for me, like I say, it was turning my mindset around. Wrote the book whilst I was in there, Physical and Mental Fitness Training, Behind the Bars Ruthless Fitness book. If you want to go and check it out, it's on Amazon, or you can buy it from me on my website. And it talks about how to better yourself and get yourself in a better mindset. But if you've got any family members, or you know anyone that's in prison still serving IPP, tell them like what I'm doing. It's giving people hope. That's why the Irish rapper Dub Zeno, he's also known as Dino, that's why he got in touch with me, because he was watching my YouTube videos and he's seen that I'm talking about the IPPs and I'm getting it out there, and I've come out and I've sorted myself out. I've turned my life around and I'm trying to help other people. And he reached out to me because he's IPP, like I've mentioned, and he's enjoying watching what I'm doing and seeing that I'm trying to help other people. But just because you're doing IPP, it's not the end of the line. There's people that come out, they've turned their lives around like myself, and they're not letting it affect them. Because if you come out and you think too much about this IPP and you let it get inside your head, especially the lads that are addicts and the drug users, if they're in recovery and they're having a good day and they go to probation, they get bad feedback, which you do, and it knocks you back, you could come out, because I've come out of probation before. I've went down singing on the way there, happy as Larry, singing, went in probation, spoke with them, and I've come out and I'm like, my mood is just totally dampened. But obviously, with me positive mindset now, I just turn it around and just think about the positive things. Don't think about the IPP that's holding you back, all the restrictions that you've got on you. You can't go on holiday, can't leave the country, all these things that they can bring you down if you think too much into it. So these lads that are in recovery or they are drug addicts, if they go to probation, they get bad feedback, they come out, they're in a bad mood, what they're going to do, they do what they always do, they go back to drugs, they go home and they'll take a hit or do whatever they do, and they get off the head just to try and forget about it. But what happens there? You're at risk of being recalled because you're using drugs. So it's just a vicious circle. But you've just got to try and get in that mindset, positive mindset, and just think about the future, what you want for yourself and your family, and do good things. Don't do things that's going to knock you back, put you back, and don't let the sentence get you down. That's the way I look at it, and that's how I'm surviving my sentence. Because when I'm talking sentence, I'm still serving this sentence. But like I say, I'm in that mindset where nothing's going to put me back. I've been through a whole load of shit in my life. I've seen bad things. I've witnessed my best friend die in front of us. Well, he was dead when I got there. He hung himself, and that fucked me up. That's what sent me back down a bit of a negative path, down the wrong road, and a few other fucking suicides on top of that afterwards. And that's how I ended up ultimately back in prison on a recall, because I started drinking again and I was in a negative mindset. But that recall sentence happened for a reason. It put me back in a reset mode, got us back in this positive mindset, and I'm out here doing good things, and I actually feel good about it. I feel good because I'm helping people. As you can see by the way I speak, I'm really passionate about it. So that's me, and that's my take on surviving a life sentence, surviving the IPP. Because I know one day I will get off this sentence, because this sentence you can, like I've mentioned previously earlier on, you can have this sentence terminated. And I know one day, I've got the faith, when I get that letter through saying that my license has been terminated, it's going to be the best day of my life, because I've been hindered with this sentence for 18 years and it's went on long enough. But I know in my own mind, and I know with the way that I'm going on and conducting myself, probation, I do get good feedback of my probation officer. She is a good probation officer, and she gives me good feedback, and I know she's behind us. And I know one day I will get off this sentence and I will have survived the IPP, unlike some of the poor lads. Can't remember exactly the statistics. I'll do another video on it soon. Something like 70 odd people, 70 odd lads and lasses on IPP have committed suicide because they could no longer carry on surviving that sentence. But I'm living proof that if you've got this strong mindset and you can carry on with it, you can get through it, and you can have a better future for yourself. But the statistics are way higher than that for the IPPs that have died in custody. It's over 250, and I think the majority of them are suicides. They've just put it down to other things just to try and brush it under the carpet. But hopefully people, you enjoyed that video. If you are enjoying it and liking the content, remember to like and subscribe, because a lot of me subscribers still aren't, well, a lot of me viewers still aren't subscribed to my channel. So if you go down and check, have a look at the subscribe. If it's on red, hit the button, subscribe to my channel, get me channel boosted, because I've got loads of things coming for this channel this year. But I hope everyone takes care. Take care, people. Ta-ra.